built a platform. It was an open platform. We modeled ourselves after Android on the assumption that we were too small to do everything, but we were really good at building communities, at letting other people succeed. There's this famous quote from Tim O'Reilly, who's one of my mentors. It is, create more value than you capture. This is actually really alien. I mean, for the first 5 years of me doing this, people kept coming up to me and saying, you're open source, you give away your IP, isn't that crazy? And it's like, no, it's not crazy. We give away our IP because we get back more in return. Not money necessarily, but more innovation, more participation, more adoption. And we don't patent. We actually do have a few patents, but they're only defensive and we'll never use them offensively. We don't protect our IP, our core IP. We give away our core IP because we get back non-monetary returns. Super radical concept. To most of the world, super obvious to anyone who's been on the internet or in the technology industry. The reason we do this is because it creates an ecosystem, and we know that ecosystems beat companies. That collectively we can do more. Some will be innovating on the hardware side, some will be doing apps, some will be doing sensors, some will be doing cloud services. We know that there's not a company out in the world that can beat a good ecosystem. There's a reason. I mean, you may love your iPhone, but there's a reason why Android has 87% of the global market. Because Android allows for more innovation by allowing people to innovate at every layer. That's why you can have Xiaomi phones. That's why you can have, Android phones. You can get an Android phone right now for $19. You can't get an iPhone for $19. And there's a lot of customers out there in the developing world who want a phone, who want a good phone, and Apple just wasn't going to get it to them. But Android could. And so Android created more value than Google captured. A lot of people say, well, that's terrible, Apple makes more money. But which is the bigger societal goal? Who's going to win the long game? I think it's going to be Android, not just Google, but it's going to be Android. Android creates more value. And so we are super happy when other people make money on our platform because it means that the platform gets better. And then finally, people said, oh, it's open source, so it's like some of these crazy, chaotic things where anybody can do anything. It's like, no, not at all. Outside, yes, anybody can volunteer. Anybody can suggest changes. But inside, it's like GE, right? We have extremely disciplined development within the community. We have team leaders. They have code review, pull requests, beta testing, alpha testing, release candidates. So much discipline. So clear roles and responsibilities. People get fired. I mean, they're not paid, but they nevertheless get fired for missing their deadlines. It looks very conventional inside and very unconventional outside. And that combination of the two is what's so powerful about open innovation. So if I can just boil this down into sort of 3.5 lessons. One is because Jordi Munoz, my co-founder, was sort of in tune with the weave of the web, he knew that Arduino was going to be a good platform to start on. Everybody laughed at us. They're like, are you kidding? That's like an 8-bit, 16 megahertz processor. What is this? I got this 64-bit, gigahertz processor. I've got this, better chip. And it's like, it didn't matter. Only thing that mattered was which was the better community. Which had the biggest community of people who were writing code and submitting libraries, etc. It wasn't about the chip, it was about the community. And everybody who got it wrong there, and there were a lot of people who got it wrong, they were all nerds who went for the fastest silicon. Only Jordi, and then ultimately convincing me, understood it was about the people, not the technology. The biggest community, the most people harness is ultimately going to win. They will figure out a way to bring faster technology on, better than the technology companies, or the best technology is going to find a way to bring more people on. Just to learn by doing, we built a factory. That's an aerial view of that Tijuana factory. We just did it without any training, permission, etc. We made every mistake possible. But when it came time to scale it up and go to China and work with a contract manufacturer, we knew what a good factory looked like. We knew how to design products that were manufacturable. We had learned a lot by doing it ourselves, so we were better customers, we were able to scale. Painful, lots of scar tissue, but absolutely necessary. And then finally, the fact that we started with a smartphone was not, again, because we're particularly smart. You could just see the economies of scale. You could just see where are things getting faster we're getting better, faster, and cheaper. And the answer was smartphones. Whatever's in a smartphone, that's what you want to go with. And so the aerospace companies, I remember like Boeing came to us and said, why do you guys use such crappy sensors? You have to write so much software to compensate. And we're like, exactly. He figured it out. They were using these incredibly accurate, mechanical sensors, these gyros that cost $10,000 each. They were like, hand wound by some, genius worker somewhere at union wages. And it took you actually need this because you need nine sensors, actually 10. You need 9 sensors for basic autopilot. That was 9 times 10,000. That's almost $100,000 worth of sensors in a box the size of a refrigerator. And they were all export controlled, so you could only buy them if you were a military contractor. And we had a tiny chip out of a smartphone that cost $3. And we turned $100,000 into $3. And the chip wasn't, the sensors weren't as good on that chip, but the software could compensate for them. And the sensors on that chip got better than those mechanical ones did. Got better faster than the mechanical ones did. And we just bet that the bad sensors were going to get better faster than the good sensors were going to get cheap. That's a really good bet. So go where the money is. Go where the investment's being made. Whatever Apple is buying today, you should be using tomorrow. And likewise for Google and Samsung and everybody else. Just a sense of where the economies of scale is going will tell you all you need to know about technology. So I wanted to end just on this one note. When I was in high school, my favorite book was this book by Flannery O'Connor called Everything That Rises Must Converge. It's a book of short stories. Some are better than others, but what I love about it is the title. Everything that rises must converge. And I think what that really means is that the lesson from Geordie is he had this intuitive sense of what was rising, what was hot, where are the cool kids going? And he taught me to heat seek and see what's ascendant, and then just find some way to use that. So we ended up realizing, so smartphones are obviously ascendant. Linux was ascendant. Drones are also ascendant. There's something called robot operating system, which we felt was ascendant as well. And we're just like, you know what? We're just going to find a way to converge on what they're doing so that we can use all the hardware from the smartphones and all the libraries and software from Linux and all the incredible academic work that's being done on ROS. If we just play our cards right, we can just stand on the shoulders of giants and let them do all the work by just having directed our own roadmap so that we intersect with what they've already done. And that is the secret of our success. Thank you very much.